As folks start to join us, we're going to wait just a minute or so to get started so everybody can kind of get set up here with their audio and their. Good morning. As folks start to join us, we're just going to wait just a few more seconds to get started. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Let's Have Lunch. My name is Trish McFarland. I'm the president of the Delaware County Chamber, and Let's Have Lunch is a positive event that started because of COVID that has become one of our most popular and regular events, as well as the opportunity to get to know the Chamber and community leaders. And today we get to know one that does everything. Mike Ranck is the chair of the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce, but he is also the president and CEO of the Community YMCA of Delaware County. He started out in Y operations, and his current YMCA serves the eastern portion of Delaware County with an annual participation base of 30,000. He employs 55 full-time, 50 part-time, and have 30 policy volunteers to take care of over 600 children during the day, as well as 1,000 children over the summer camp, and has an operating budget of $8 million. Additionally, he serves as a volunteer for the Chamber, the Delaware County Community College Board of Trustees, the Delaware County Heroin Task Force, and Springfield Cares Task Force. He's also, I believe, added on a couple more boards over the last few months. He lives in Springfield with his wife and 3 children. So today we're going to get to know a little bit more about Mike Ranck, what he does and how he handles particularly situations most recently. So Mike, welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, thanks, Trish, and thanks for hosting this. It is really a great positive event. I'm honored to be selected as a person to talk about myself. So, I started back in the Y right out of college as an aquatic director because I was one of those lost college students who didn't really know what he wanted to do when he graduated, but I had always been a lifeguard in the summer. And I said, oh, I can teach swimming lessons and until I figure out what I really want to do. And 34 years later, I'm still with the Y, and I've done just about everything in the Y, from maintenance to actually in the late 80s, I did the flash dance and taught aerobics and did all of that. And so it's been a great ride. It's been a wonderful way to raise my family. All my kids grew up in the Y. I actually met my wife at the Y, and she worked for me as a lifeguard. And we actually met, and 30 plus years later, I don't want to give the exact number in case she's listening because I'll get it wrong. We're still together and still happy and still enjoying life and enjoying our kids. So thanks.
So Mike, can you tell us a little bit more about the position of CEO of the Y? I know that you have you have 2 boards that report to you, as well as many staff and many different operations and locations. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Our Y is what the national Y terms a mid-size Y. And we operate 3 branches and the school-age childcare program in the Springfield School District. Our newest branch at the Springfield Healthplex, we started January 18th and had to close it on March 13th. So we're just restarting there. Running a Y is really about people. It's really about working with those who are working with you, not for you. Managing 2 boards who I report to is important because they're the ones who set the tone for the Y and set the direction. They're the ones who say this is what the community needs and this is what you need to do. And they're also the ones who I like to say, I have 4 eyes, given my glasses, and 2 ears, but I have 30 board members, so we have 60 eyes and 60 pairs of ears, or 30 pairs of ears out in the community listening. So My experiences range from preparing the budgets to figuring out how to fix a hole in the roof of the Y, to most recently trying to deal with the COVID situation and what we were going to do to support our community and support our staff, to figuring out how to keep the lights on. So it's all over everywhere. And I think um, a lot of times when people think of nonprofits, you think of how you can survive daily. And I like to view RY in these terms. How can we serve the community better? You know, a lot of times we look at the bottom line, and especially nowadays, places are looking at the revenue not coming in. I like to think of it as what more can we do to serve our community so we can get back faster into a more normal lifestyle.
Thank you. So through these last 6 months, 6.5 months, as a member of your board, I've seen how hard you have worked and what you've done for your staff. But those first couple days were scary for everybody, but you were able to lead slow and steady and made some tough decisions, but you kept the why going. Can you talk a little bit about maybe how your leadership kind of changed or developed or adapted during those first couple weeks of the shutdown?
Sure. In our new staff or rehire orientations, I try to get to each one of them. And I always start with, if anyone told me in my Y career that I'd have to lay off 650 people and shut 3 YMCAs down for 6 months, I would say you're crazy. But that's what happened, and that's the reality. I've been blessed with a great leadership team here at our association. We were able to keep 11 people employed during those 4 to 6 months. And they're really the ones that did the work. They're really the ones who planned everything out, who did a lot of the research on what we needed to do to open during COVID, what we needed to do for our families and childcare, how we can open safely for our staff. They're the ones who communicated with our staff. And, you know, I think everyone in times like these points to one person who led it all, but it really wasn't. It really was a group of 12 people who would meet almost daily on Zoom. We learned how to use Zoom. We've all learned how to hate Zoom, but we learned how to meet daily and talk about the issues and what we were going to do and how we were going to plan. And we were very fortunate to have those 12 dedicated people. I'm happy to say now we've rehired probably about 350 of our 650, and that's okay because our membership and our programs haven't come back yet. So I think leadership in times like these is really about being there and being that support system, because it is very easy, and I'm sure all of us felt during that time a little depressed and a little anxious, well, anxious is really the best word, because I know my wife got laid off, and you know, we're thinking, how are we going to make our house payments? What kind of food do we need to stock up on? But with the work that everyone did, we're coming back, and you know, it really has helped. And I think Zoom is a great format, but we're all social beings, and we need to see each other, and we need to touch each other, and we need to feel that energy and thrive from that energy that we see in each other. And it was a difficult time, I won't lie. It was one of those that you just shake your head and say, when is this ever going to be over?
Right, and it's something we never thought we would have to, no one ever even imagined it. So you mentioned the programs and the Ys, the gyms aren't up and running at full capacity. Is there a timeline for that? I know a lot of it is the state and local government kind of dictating what we are and are not allowed to do, but is there a plan for next steps on that?
Sure. So let me start by saying this. I've always viewed RY as more than just a gym or a pool. I've always viewed RY as that community-based center that happens to have fitness and a swimming pool. So in coming back, we really emphasized how can we open safely for our child care families, for families who need to get back to work but don't have any place for their kids to go. How can we open our summer camps safely? And now we're doing virtual learning for school-age kids, and we have about 450 families using us so they can go to work, but they come to the Y to learn, to get on their laptops and their computers and sit and learn. And I gotta say, it's humbling because it's really sad to see kids on the devices when we all know a few years ago we were saying get your kids off devices. But I think it's really beneficial to the families who are using it because they have to go to work and their kids need to be social around other kids. And so that's helping. So reopening for us really was about safety. How can we reopen safely? And we actually delayed a lot of our facility reopening till we felt comfortable in the procedures that we had in place. So we opened a week later than the governor said we could. We are operating at 50% capacity. We are doing things slowly, which is, I'm sure, frustrating to some of our members. But as I've told our members, don't come back if you don't feel safe. And during the summer, as much as we wanted those members to come back to us, I was having conversations in the community saying, why would you come back right now? It's summer, stay outside. That's where you want to be, stay there. Now we're turning, the weather's turning and people want to come back inside, and we're doing a lot of re-education on what it means to be safe, what you have to do in terms of coming into our facilities, wearing a mask, cleaning your own equipment, making sure you're staying distanced from people. It's a challenge, and I think we're all going to continue to face those challenges. And the faster we all can hit the reality that this is going to be with us for a while, whether there's a vaccine developed or a pill, a miracle pill or whatever, it's an illness that's going to be with us for a while. And we need to hit that reality and do everything we can to make sure that we're not only protecting you, but we're protecting me and we're protecting everyone around us.
Thank you. Before I ask my next question, I just want to let the folks know that are watching this today, if you have any questions that you would like me to ask Mike Ranck, please put it in the chat or the Q&A, and towards the end of the program, we will get those questions answered. So type them in now so we can get ready and we can ask them at the end. But as we move along, Mike, you did open a week later than the governor said we could to prepare safely. Can you talk a little bit about how the summer camps went, how your staff prepared for that, and how the children and the families responded?
Sure. For summer camp, it was difficult because it's primarily an outdoor program. And kids want to be kids, and kids were cooped up in their own house since March 13th when everything shut down. So we would see some, as kids came into camp, running up to their friends, I haven't seen you, oh, it's great to see you. And, and we're saying, whoa, don't hug, don't touch, don't stay away from each other. We did things in our summer camp like create pods of kids. So a group of 9 to 10 kids were with each other all summer or during their entire experience. And they were with the same camp counselor during the whole 12 hours they were in camp. That changed our fundamental programming, because so many times when we were doing a large group activity, we would have 3 and 4 groups together, and we couldn't do that this year. We had to do a lot of individual group activities. We could not do field trips. We could not have special events people come into camp. We couldn't even let parents walk into our buildings to drop off children. We had to create a car line where they dropped them off outside, and we had to do temperature checks on children every day, on our staff every day, coming and going. And it changed the atmosphere, but it also helped us get better. We ran at 50% capacity. We actually hit about 45% in all of our camps normally of what we normally run. And that was okay. I think it taught us that in some of our locations, we truly had a lot of kids and we needed to pare down. And in other locations, it taught us, okay, we need to get more kids here and pair up. I think for the families and for the parents, it was a relief that their kids could get outside and do something, that they could go back to work, or it was somewhat a normal day for their children. And, you know, so many times we heard from a number of parents, thank you, you've saved my child. And we'd say, oh, no, we didn't, no, you don't understand. First of all, my child was driving me nuts, and I probably would have killed them if they had to stay home all summer, but they needed to get out. They needed to experience life. They needed to see their friends and do things, even if they had to wear a mask. It was great. So we're thrilled that it went so well, and now we've transitioned into the school age and childcare programs, and it's going remarkably well.
So you mentioned the children having to wear masks all day. And I know that we've seen both sides of this, especially on the news and on social media. How have the children been responding to the masks?
Well, we all know the governor's order was for any child over the age of 2 to be in a mask at all times. The kids have been great. Do they forget? Yes. Are there times where they drop their mask on the ground and then we have to give them another? Yes. This was a big allergy season this summer too. And were kids sneezing in their masks? Yes. But overall, they've been really, really good. And I think that comes from the parents and from everyone around them. If we as parents can just say to our kids, yeah, it stinks, but you have to wear a mask, they do it. There is no pushback. And I think the earlier we can get children on that idea, because it's not going to go away. And I don't believe the governor's orders about kids wearing masks into stores and restaurants and into YMCAs or into schools is going to go away anytime soon. It's a reality. Whether you believe in the mask or not, we have to do it. We've actually started, and we're thankful for a lot of supporters. We started a Mask Up Delco campaign in which our supporters have donated funds to us to buy masks for every child in our program. So we're going to be giving out in the next 2 weeks about 1,000 masks that are kid size and school age size to the kids, so that they have 2 and 3 masks that they can wear or we'll have at the Y Forum. And we're really thankful for all those local businesses that have donated to that, because you know it really is about, for the younger children, making mask wearing fun. And if their friends are doing it, they'll do it. So it really is about finding creative ways to deal with a difficult problem or a difficult solution.
So I'm going to shift the conversation just a little bit. When the Springfield Y finally went through in January, there was a lot of enthusiasm about it. And as you mentioned, everything shut down on March 13th. As a nonprofit executive, can you talk a little bit about the process that it went to kind of get that Y up and running and as part of the Y program in Delaware County? And then talk about what has been happening with that Y over the shutdown?
Sure. So let me just say that I think at the end of my Y career, I'm either going to be remembered as the Y exec who started this great branch in Springfield, or the Y exec who was an idiot and signed a contract and then had to shut it down and it never worked out. So it's going to be one of those two. But in all seriousness, we're thankful that we have a great partnership with the Crozier Health System. It was a long negotiation. It took us 5 years to get to the point where we agreed to terms that we could take over the operation of the former Healthplex Sports Club. Crozier really believes in getting involved in the community, and they saw that the old sports club as an asset to the community, but it needed to be remade into the vision of more of a family center rather than a private sports club. So they asked us to take that on. We took that on as of January 18th. Did a lot of membership meetings, a lot of meet and greets. We were actually growing our membership. We were up almost 1,000 units from the time we took over when we had to shut down on March 13th. During the shutdown, because that facility was in a hospital setting, we couldn't do anything. We had big plans for renovations, but we were not allowed, the only person allowed to go in was our maintenance person, just to check on systems to make sure that water pipes weren't breaking or things like that. So when we got the okay to go back in, we restarted everything. So we restarted. We're actually about 90% complete with the renovations we did. We've totally redone the fitness center. We've replaced the aging equipment with brand new equipment. We've installed a turf field on one of the tennis courts that we'll be using for youth sports and kid programs and adult programs. It just got finished this week. And next week, all of the rest of the equipment will show up. But what I'm most proud of is we've transformed just in the past 2 weeks. We've converted the racquetball and racquetball courts and yoga studio into childcare classrooms. And we have 60 families using us for full day school-age virtual learning. I'm thankful to the Crozier Health System again because they donated space that we're in the process of creating a virtual learning computer center for families to come in and use, or anyone to come in and use. But we've really changed that facility because now we have kids in it. And I was a little nervous about doing that because we've always had a lot of adults who are used to that being an adult facility. But I have to tell you that I've had people come up to me and say, I've been a member here for 20 years and this is great. Seeing the kids here, you guys are doing a great thing for these families. Now, I will say when the schools go hybrid, our numbers there will probably go up, which is great too. And it'll mean more changes. But we're really trying to shape the Springfield Y into that Springfield Community Center for the families and for the people in the area, because it needs to be that resource. We believe in talking with the hospital system, they want that resource there for families to know that it's there for families. We've created a number of partnerships for different activities and events with the hospital system, and we're going to keep pushing forward with that. We really believe it's going to be a nice, strong branch there.
Exciting opportunities for the Y and the Springfield community, but you also have branches in Lansdowne and Ridley. How are things going there? Operations, are they close to as normal as possible?
So two different communities. At our Ridley facility, we do have about 160 kids in full day daycare right now, and that's about 3/4 of what we normally are. We have another 70 kids or so in the virtual learning, and we have them in the gymnasium and in different classrooms spread out and learning on computers. Our membership is coming back. The pool is the most active place in our facilities right now. We've started a lot of senior programs back into the pool area because that's really beneficial. Our fitness center has come back, and we've started some outdoor fitness classes at our Ridley branch. At our Lansdowne branch, we've done the same, but that's a 1950s building. So it's a little more difficult, but we have about 40 kids in full day learning and about another 75 in our child care program. And we do have people coming back in to start working out again and utilizing the fitness center. We've done some outdoor classrooms, outdoor workouts. But for those of you that know the Lansdowne branch, the parking lot's very difficult to do outdoor workouts in. So it's a little more challenging. But what we found, during our shutdown, one of the big things that hit me is, and I think I said this in the beginning, is the Y is more than a gym or a pool. It's more than a childcare center. And we did food drives and blood drives. And in fact, we did a food drive in Springfield where we filled not one, but 2 school buses filled with donated food and took them to local shelters so that people who didn't have food could work on that. Our strategic plan that our board will be meeting about next week will be discussing how to reimagine the Y, not as a fitness place, but as a community service organization. And what can we do to distinguish ourselves as that community legacy place, rather than the place that just happens to have nice fitness equipment. So it's going to be a great discussion. All the branches are doing well. All of them are serving members. We're seeing smiling faces coming in. We're seeing our regulars coming back. They're definitely different. We've had to take out all the lobby furniture so there's no gathering and no sitting. And 90% of the Y is social. So we would have a group of seniors that would come into our branches and they'd bring their coffee and sit in the lobby, have their coffee, then go for their workout and then come back and have their lunch in the lobby. That's all gone for right now. So it's a little more transient, but we are seeing those faces. We've made hundreds, almost thousands of phone calls to our members and seniors to see how they're doing and if they're ready to come back and what we might be able to do for them. It's truly remarkable, how everyone is responding.
That's fantastic. Well, I think you've done a tremendous job of distinguishing all of the Y branches as community-based centers. And we're looking forward to hearing what that strategic plan will come out and look like, because I know that job well done is certainly happening. As things have happened over the past 6 or 7 months, you've kind of created a different kind of culture for your team. Can you talk a little bit about that, how it is to work and be a part of the Y?
Yeah, I think the culture naturally changed itself. I don't know that I did anything. I think it was more of the team looking at things and saying, we need to do this, we need to do that. As we've brought staff back on, we've been talking a lot about what we can and can't do right now. And now the conversations have shifted into what we want to be rather than what we are. And we're having those conversations moving forward as a way to engage everybody. So many times I think when businesses get into difficult times, you have to worry, about making payroll, about paying the electric bill, about keeping the doors open. I know I have to do that, and I do that all the time. But I really believe that if we do things right and people view us as a resource, the financial end will take care of itself. And they're going to be difficult times. There's no question about that. For the first time in my Y career, I'm working at a Y that's running a deficit. There's nothing I can do about that. So rather than focus on what I can't do, I'm trying to focus on what we can do. It's right now, it's extremely difficult in our school age program. And I think probably most employers are experiencing this finding people who want to work and finding people to work and qualified people. And it's extremely difficult because we have a level of expectation, and our child care directors have a level of expectation of their program where they want it to be at. And while we're delivering that, we always look for the next excellent point. And they're always trying to get the next thing going or the next thing going. And as much as I hate to do it, I'm trying to pull them back in and say, let's just focus on what we can do now. Let's pull back the reins. Culture is important. And I think that the biggest part of culture is just getting everyone focused in the same general direction. And in a place like Hawaii, that's difficult.
And with so many different personalities, that absolutely is difficult, but you do a tremendous job with that. So being a nonprofit leader has you out in the community a lot, has you a part of different organizations. And I'll start with the chamber because I know that best. Can you talk a little bit about your role at the chamber now, and maybe how the nonprofit committee started here, and is it useful? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm going to start with that because we've talked about it, Tricia. That old phrase, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, really happened. And so I was a member of the chamber, and I was on the board at the chamber. And, I looked at the dues I was paying to the chamber and saying, well, what am I really getting out of this? All they talk about is for-profit businesses. Why should I even be a part? And I said it enough times that the chair of the board at that time said, all right, you've complained enough about this. You're in charge. You do something about it. So we started the nonprofit group, and we tested a few things, but what it really came down to is what we're talking about now. Is the nonprofits really wanted to get together and talk about different issues and help each other solve different problems or just network. And the chamber staff really has been the driving force behind this. I think my direction to it really is just shaking my head and said, okay, that sounds good. Let's do this, and go ahead. And but it's really turned into a great network of people. And at our events, quarterly events now, we're getting anywhere from 25 to 50 participants. The Zoom is going to make it challenging, but we'll make it work. I think for me, the value that I now see in the chamber that I've learned through my experience really is about making those connections. And those connections have helped me help my Y grow. And the only way I would have made the connection with the Crozier Health System was through the connections I made at the chamber. I could have done a cold call up to them and I could have talked to them, but it really was through the chamber. And that really has helped us. I think in terms of being a nonprofit leader, I go to different events a lot, and I participate, as Trish said, I participate on a lot of different boards. I don't look at those as resume builders. I look at them as educational experiences, and I try to take something from every meeting I'm at back to my why and my situation and incorporate that as part of the learning, or as part of operational change, or whatever you want to call it. And that's really helped. It really has helped me as an executive. It's helped me be better prepared for meetings and know what to ask. And it's also helped me understand the other organizations in the community being on those boards. It really has given me a greater appreciation for what we have here in Delaware County, and not just allowed my mind to just focus on my Lansdowne, Ridley, and Springfield little triangle here. It really has broadened that out and helped. I think everyone should be doing that.
So you've talked about a little bit about the other boards that you're involved in. Do you want to highlight them and your role in those organizations, just to give them a little spotlight?
Sure, sure. So I know I'll forget some, but I'm on the Delaware County Community College Board. I would served as chair for 3 years on that and chaired the search committee and faculty negotiations. I got interested in the Community College Board because I really believe that education is the core to help make our community better. And the community college provides such a great avenue for people who maybe aren't the four-year college traditional path, but it really serves a segment of the community and really has stepped up the educational opportunities for everyone in Delaware County. And again, education is the core. If we don't have people who are educated and or learning different tasks along the way, we're not going to get anywhere as a society. I also serve on, you'd mentioned the Heroin Task Force, and everyone knows the epidemic we have with drug overdose and heroin specifically, and opioids. And I thought the Y could make a difference, or I could make a difference in terms of what we're doing. The Springfield Cares is a local group doing the same thing in Springfield Township, where I live. And having 3 kids growing up in Springfield, I absolutely wanted to get involved to make sure our township was doing everything it could in that. Last night, I attended a board meeting for Family Support Line, which is an organization that deals specifically with the treatment of child sexual abuse. And the Y is dealing with all of the kids that we do and the families that we deal with. We do a huge training around the prevention of child sexual abuse. And one thing that hit me early on in my time at Family Support Line is I was told a statistic that if you take the, what is it, Wells Fargo Center, I guess it's called now. I didn't want to say the FU Center, but the Wells Fargo Center. We could fill the Wells Fargo Center with the amount of children who are sexually abused just in Delaware County alone. And at the time I had a young child, my son, and it's just sad when you hear things like that. So, a lot of the things that I get involved with really are about trying to make our community better. And Trish, you and I talked about that this week is, what motivates you, what drives you. And it really is about making the community a better place for the next generation. Our parents did that for us. I hate to say what my mom always said is true, but time goes fast and we have a limited time here to make it better for the next generation. And that's the motivator, is how can we make it better? I also serve on one other organization, Public Citizens for Children and Youth. And it's an advocacy group for child care issues and children's issues. And I serve in that capacity representing the Y and a lot of the child care providers. So it really is it's a great organization because they advocate for so much and just help so many families and so many situations. Right now, we know the child care industry is suffering, and many child care centers have closed because child care centers operate on a very thin margin. And with the COVID pandemic, they've had to shut down, or they've had to lay off staff, or they've had to reduce capacities, and they've had to close. And that's sad because there are many people who need affordable childcare, and the centers just aren't there anymore.
Sorry, I was on mute. And you're also chairing another organization in Delaware County right now that has a big impact, or will have a big impact on the region, specifically Delaware County. Do you want to just talk about that and make sure people are registered for it?
Yes, thank you. So I was asked to chair the 2020 Census, Delco Counts Census Committee. As we all know, the census is only done every 10 years. And it's vitally important that we count every bed, every head on every pillow on every bed in Delaware County. The most recent statistic is for every head that's not counted, it costs Delaware County about $2,000. And that's not just $2,000 once, it's $2,000 every year for 10 years. The funding that we get from the federal government through this census count goes to help our educational system. It goes to help our infrastructure. It goes to fund things that we don't even know about. And it's very important that everyone fill out the census, that everyone get involved. We're coming up to the end of it now. We know you can do it online. You can do it by telephone. You've had mailers come to your house. You will have people knocking on your door. There's been a lot of fear around the census because people are fearful that their information will be shared. By law, your information cannot be shared. And by law, there is a substantial fine if that happens. So it is something that's important to all of Delaware County. We know that we have some hotspots that we're focusing on, primarily in Upper Darby, Darby, and Chester, that we need to get better counts in. We're working hard at that. We have a committee meeting tomorrow morning. We know that we've received a lot of support from County Council, a lot of support from our elected officials. We know on Saturday the 26th, Representative Mary Gay Scanlon is hosting two big events. Please come out to those. Please make sure you fill out your census because I can't emphasize it enough. The census only benefits everybody. It doesn't benefit any one person. So it really is important.
Well, thank you, Mike, for that. And that the census is a big undertaking in a non-pandemic, but the things that you have been thrown over the past 6 months, thank you for your leadership and making sure that every dollar that can come to Delaware County will come to Delaware County. So I'm going to turn it to the group, our viewers, as it were, to see if you have any questions. I know we just have a chat, and Francis Sheehan just put the 2020 census link in our chat. For those of you who are viewing right now, please click on it if you have not filled that out, and send it to your friends as well. So
yeah,
if
let me just repeat that in case anyone's just on a phone. The website for the census is 2020 census, all one word, .gov. So it's https://2020census.gov. Please go on that and fill it out. Everything is confidential and it's extremely important to Delaware County.
Well, thank you. I think we might have covered everything. We haven't gotten any questions, any more questions in the chat. Anything that I received, I made sure I worked in. So Mike, do you have any closing thoughts for us today?
Just one, thank you. Thank you to everyone in Delaware County who's working hard to ensure that that Delaware County is the best that it can be for the people who live here. Thank you for making the quality of life great for families to raise children. And just thank you for all that everyone is doing, because the only way that a community survives is if everyone participates and everyone gets involved in some way, shape, or form, and stay safe. You know, let's move forward and keep Delaware County moving forward and stay safe.
Mike, thank you so much. I know that you've had a very busy morning and a very busy day. So thank you for taking some time out today to help our members and the community learn a little bit more about you, the why, and all you do, and all the wonderful things you do here in Delaware County for us. So thank you, and hopefully everybody will either tune in to our next Let's Have Lunch, or if you want to share this with your friends, it will be on YouTube in a few days, and we will share that as well. So thanks everyone for being with us, and we'll hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Trish.
Thanks, Mike.